Wow, what a pleasure to see you all. Thank you for coming on this not snowy day yet. I saw Amy asking if any of you know but why. Does anybody here not know but why? I see a couple of hands, so let me tell you who I am. I'm Jane Lindholm. I'm the host of But Why, a podcast for curious kids. We are produced in Vermont, out of Vermont Public, and we're a podcast where kids get to lead the way. So kids send us questions, and it's our job to find cool people to offer answers. And we have been making this show for almost 9 years. How many questions do you think we've gotten in 9 years? You can shout it out. More than 100. Less than millions. Do you want me to tell you? Okay, ready? About 16,000 questions from kids in more than 93 countries. Now, we can't answer 16,000 questions, but we have answered several thousand questions, and we're going to answer some more questions today, and we're going to do a show all about birds and owls. Owls are, of course, birds, but we're going to focus on owls. Does anybody here not like birds? I see a maybe. All right, well, let's see if we can turn your feelings around by the end of this podcast. So here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes. Picture yourself in a forest at dusk. And that's what you hear. That's a female barred owl. She's calling out to other owls. Sometimes owls like this talk to each other. They might be saying to a partner, "Hey, where are you?" That's what a barred owl looks like. And if you were out in the lobby, you may have seen a barred owl wing with the stripy feathers. The call that you're hearing now is actually a couple different owls being territorial. Does anybody know what territorial means? What does it mean? Yeah, they're trying to keep their territory. They're saying, "This is my area, you don't belong here, get out, and by the way, any mice you see while you're leaving, they're mine, don't even try it." How many of you came with friends or family today? How many of you have friends that are your age and you talk a lot to each other? Do you sometimes sound maybe a little bit like this, a little squawky, like calling back and forth to each other? That's a family of barred owls. Those are two baby barred owls, and you can't really hear their calls as much, and their calls are not as friendly. And if you are camping at night with a family of barred owls, you may wish there were no babies around. So we're going to talk a little bit about owls today. All of the sounds that you just heard were given to us by the Macaulay Library at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology.
Yeah.
Oh. You all right, sir? Let's take a pause for a second. Thank you for alerting us. We're going to let them take care of that. Sometimes people need help, and luckily there are people here who can help. When somebody needs help, then you get help. So that's what's going to happen here. And we're going to let them take care of that, and we're going to continue our show here. So as I was saying, we're going to talk about owls. We're going to learn about birds. And we have a lot of questions today from some young kids who have sent us questions. But I bet you want to actually see an owl since we've been talking about it. Do you want to see a live owl? All right, let's bring a live owl out with a live human. The human is named Michael Clough, and he's from the Vermont Museum of Natural History. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Jane. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Great.
How are you, and how is your friend?
I'm doing great. And this is Alistair, and he's at work, so.
So, is that allowed?
It might have been an editorial comment. I'm not sure. Yeah.
So this is Alistair. Tell us a little bit about who he is and why he's with you.
Sure. So Alistair is, you guys can match the screen before, is a barred owl. And those sounds you heard are pretty familiar for people all over the eastern U.S., really, if you have trees near your house. And if you were in the hotel I was in last night, it'd be familiar to you too. And Alistair is with us at the museum because, about 14 years ago, he was flying across the road and he got hit by a car. And you might notice his great big eyes there. When owls have an impact, when something hits them or when they run into something else, very often their eyes get damaged. And he's blind in his left eye. With these lights, actually, you guys might be able to see it. Can you see the difference in his eyes? Keep an eye on him. These bright lights will catch it, and you'll be able to see that left eye looks a little different.
So all of the birds that you have at the museum are with you because they've been injured in some way or
absolutely.
can't live in the wild.
Yeah, all the birds we have, even our big friendly snapping turtle is with us because he can't
Who's
go out
not
in the
a
wild.
bird?
Not a bird, no. Even the not birds.
What about your snake?
Snakes can't be out in the wild, yeah. Well, I mean, snakes can be out in the wild, but not the snakes we have.
So maybe you and Alistair then could answer some questions that we have about owls.
That'd be fantastic. Do you mind if I wander around and let people get a closer look while we're doing it? Do you guys
Michael
mind?
and Alistair wander around?
Who was it that was nervous about birds? Well, make sure not to get him too close.
All right, well, here's a question while Michael and Alistair are wandering.
It's Prudence, and I'm 5 years old, and my question is, how do owls eat?
How do owls eat, Michael?
Oh, that's a great question that Prudence poses there. And as I bring Alistair around, you'll notice his feet, right? His feet have big, long toenails. Does anybody here know the fancy name for those toenails? Right there. Oh, you all do. Awesome. The talons. So just like a hawk, an eagle, or a falcon, he's going to catch his food with those feet. That's not going to be bird seed or broccoli or pizza or anything like that. He's a hunter, so he's going to be catching little critters with those feet. Most owls eat a lot of rodents. That's definitely true of barred owls. But they're not real picky. He likes to hang out around the water, so he'll eat a lot of frogs, a lot of salamanders, and sometimes he catches something big. And that's when his beak is going to come into play. His beak is like his silverware. So he'll catch something like maybe, I don't know, a little bunny or something with his feet, and then he can use his beak just like we'd use a knife and fork to cut our food up.
That's pretty cool. All right, here's another question for you.
My name is Juniper, and I'm 6 years old, and my question is, how do owls see so well in the dark?
Oh, now I just mentioned his big eyes. You guys notice how big those eyes are? Let me get back in the front so I can show all you guys something, because his eyes are even bigger than they look. Most of his head is feathers. Moms and dads, imagine 80s hairstyle, right? This is like all feathers here. Like, there's his head. His eyeballs are so big that if we shaved his head, they jut out past the edge of his skull. They are heavier than his brain. Yeah. And big eyes like that help him gather in a lot of light. They help his night vision. He even has a reflector in the back of his eye. Like if you're ever driving down the road at night and there's a cat or a deer or something on the side of the road, you ever notice how their eyes glow? They're not really glowing, they're reflecting. The light is bouncing off the back of their eye and coming back out. So it looks like their eyes are glowing, but it'd be like shining a flashlight at a mirror, right?
Michael, we just did an episode recently where we talked about this.
Nice.
And it has a special name, that lens in the back of the eye. Did anybody listen to our episode about wild cats? And do you remember?
What is that name?
Can you shout it out? Yeah. What's the lens at the back of the eyelid called that reflects light back? Not ocular, close.
Oh, I
Not
think I
a
just heard it.
nictitating membrane, but that is cool. Did you hear it, Michael?
I thought I heard it.
A tapetum lucidum.
Yeah.
It's a really good vocabulary word.
I noticed a lot of mom and dads are like, oh yeah, I knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Michael, you told me once that if we had eyes that are the same ratio of our skull size to our eye size, that our eyes would be the size of grapefruits.
Isn't that crazy? If Jane was an owl, her eyes would be as big as grapefruits.
I would like that.
You'd need new glasses.
Yeah, probably. Let's tackle another question.
Yes.
And I live in Annapolis, Maryland. I am 6 years old, and my question is, how are owls nocturnal?
Ooh, how are they nocturnal? Now, you guys we were just talking about one, right? those big eyes let them see in the dark. Like an owl like that eagle owl has some of the best nighttime eyesight. He could fly around by starlight through the woods without hitting any trees. That's pretty, don't you guys try that. That's pretty good night vision. But owls have more abilities that help them function after dark. Do you notice how round Alistair's face is? Yeah, his face works like, well, it actually works like this thing. Yeah, if he wants to, he can cup his feathers forward. You guys actually try this. Put your hands behind your ears. Turn your faces into little satellite dishes. What do you notice happens when you do that? What happens when you put your hands behind your ears and cup them forward like that? What happens? Go.
The sound sounds different.
It sounds different. Is it quieter? Is it harder to hear? It's louder, yeah. So he can use his whole face to funnel sound into his ears, and some owls, like that one right there, like a barn owl. Some owls, like a barn owl or a barred owl, have crooked ears. One ear's up here, one ear's up there. So if Jane was an owl, her glasses wouldn't fit right. They'd be all crooked.
They'd be really big.
And her ear holes would be huge. She could make a fist and put it inside her ear hole. It'd be a little gross, but she could do it.
No, it's not working.
Yeah. So giant ears, that big round face, that lets a barred owl, if he wants to, listen to our hearts beating.
Wow.
Even those folks in the back of the room. Yeah. And because his ears are crooked, he can hear exactly where that sound is. So in the wintertime, a barred owl flies over the snow, and he listens, and he hears the little mice burrowing under the snow, and he can hear exactly where they are, drops in and catches them with what? The talons. Awesome.
All right, we have another question for you. And Amy, would you mind getting me a glass of water? Here's another question, Michael.
Hi, Tessa. I am 8 years old and live in Birmingham, Alabama. My question is, how can owls turn their head almost all the way around?
Okay. Most of what we're seeing is feathers, right? So you might be surprised to know that underneath those feathers, he has a very long neck. His neck has 14 little bones in it, just the same number a swan has. And if a swan with its big snaky neck turns his head around, whatever, right? Of course it can do that. An owl has just as many bones in his neck. It lets him turn his head 3/4 of the way around. So backwards is, you guys want to try this? Turn your head to the left, go all the way around the back, put your chin on your right shoulder. No, keep the next shoulder. You guys aren't doing it right. Do not let anyone help you try this. You have to do it on your own. Yeah. No, we can't do it. We only have 7 little bones in our neck. So our necks aren't flexible enough. And it kind of comes back to the eyes too. Those ginormous eyes are so big, he can't move them. So you can move your eyes, right? So can you look behind you without moving your body? Can you just turn your head and move your eyes and see behind you? Yeah, he can't do that. He has to turn his head around backwards to see behind him because he can't move his eyes.
All right, we have one more question for you while you have Alistair.
Great.
But this question doesn't seem like it has anything to do with owls, but it kind of does.
Oh, this one.
My name is Bennett. I am 5 1/3. I live in Thetford, Vermont. I wonder why chickens walk with their head going back and forth.
So what do chickens have to do with owls?
Well, chickens and owls are both birds, right? They're all dinosaurs. And that thing the chickens are doing, you guys can see it, right? It's like this. That's how we think of it. We think of it like they're bobbing their heads. Alistair can do something similar if he wants to. So we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe he'll do it for us. But they're not walking around on the ground very much, right? They're mostly sitting up on a tree branch. Maybe the wind is blowing, and he won't do it. If he wants to, he can lock his head, and his body will move around his head. And that's really what the chicken, or you guys maybe will see pigeons out around the city. That's really what they're doing. They reach their head forward, and then their body catches up. And they reach their head forward, and their body catches up. So, yeah, Jane loves it when I try to do that.
I love this. Yeah.
But,
do it again, Michael. Do it again.
They reach their head forward, and their body catches up. They reach their head forward. So it's weird, right? It's like the opposite of how we think of it. But that lets that chicken's head hold still while its body's moving so it can look for things like owls up in trees. If your head's moving around all the time, it's not as easy to watch for trouble like this guy.
And the owl would want to keep its head still so that it could look for things to eat.
You got it. Yeah. And he's like, oh, he just noticed the chickens.
Well, let's give Alistair a rest, and Michael's going to come back out in a minute. But we have other questions about birds, and I don't want you to get too comfortable because you're going to have to work at this show. So we're going to bring another guest up here. Her name is Bridget Butler, but we know her as the Bird Diva. Hi, Bridget.
Make a hand off, too. Hi, everybody.
Bridget, why
Thanks for being
on
here today.
earth are you called the Bird Diva?
Yeah, so let's see. I wanted to create a small business, and I needed it to be separate than like my serious self, because I'm very serious. And I thought it needed to be super. And so I kind of needed almost like a superhero alter ego name.
Yep.
And so the Bird Diva came out from that. And it stuck.
And not all divas wear capes, apparently.
True.
So will you help us answer a few more owl questions and then maybe teach us how to talk like an owl?
Yeah, you guys want to talk like an owl today? Okay, good.
Okay, well, here's the first question that'll help us get there.
Okay.
And I live in West Oregon, and I'm 5. And my question is, how do different owls make different sounds?
Yeah, how do they make those cool sounds that we heard at the beginning of the show? Well, let's break it down to start, right? What do we have in our throat that we use to make sound?
Voice box.
Yeah, voice box. Okay, I want everybody to put your hand on your voice box right now. And I just want you to hum a little bit. Can you feel that vibration in there? All right, so your voice box has another word. It's called the larynx. Can you guys say larynx?
Larynx.
Awesome. And your larynx is made up of all these different muscles that when we engage them, make different sounds for us. Now, the cool thing about birds is they actually have 2 sets of muscles. So in the picture here, actually literally right behind me, and I'll try to slide back and forth so people can see it. The birds have what we call a syrinx. Can you guys say syrinx?
Syrinx, not larynx.
Not larynx.
Syrinx.
Syrinx. Syrinx has 2 sets of vocal cords, and it sits right above where the bird's lungs and the air sacs are. So when the bird takes a deep breath and pushes air through the syrinx, it squeezes and relaxes those muscles in different ways and in different times, right, on either side to make really cool sounds. And that's why it's so hard for us to mimic bird sounds.
Right, because we only have a larynx.
Right.
We can't do the 2 sounds at the
You
same
need a
time.
syrinx to do that.
I always think this looks like somebody wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
So, we actually have a demonstration that we can show you of a slowed down bird call that you can start to hear what Bridget was talking about. Let's see if we can play
Let's
that.
listen. All right, we're gonna play it again, and I want you to watch either side. See how those little flaps open and close? And we get 2 different notes from different sides. So this is a slowed down audio snippet of a wood thrush singing, that fluty, ethereal sound that we hear in woodlands all across the Northeast. But the bird's actually singing 2 different notes out of either side of the syrinx, and it creates this beautiful harmony.
That didn't sound so beautiful.
No.
So
it's
let's
slowed
hear
down.
it when it's not slowed down. So that's what a wood thrush can sound like because it can use its syrinx.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Magic.
tackle another question. That's how they make sounds.
Hi,
But we're
my
gonna get back
name
to
is
owls.
Claire. I am 6 years old, and I'm from Dover, New Hampshire. And my question is, why do owls have different hoots?
Yeah. Why do owls have different hoots? And they're not all hoots, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. So there are as many different types of sounds as there are different types of owls. And even each owl may have a number of different types of sounds that it can make, from calls and kind of begging vocalizations when it comes to the babies. So they need to have those different sounds so they can communicate with each other. So a saw-whet owl is going to communicate with saw-whet owls, and barred owls are going to be able to communicate with barred owls.
Should we make a barred owl sound? Do you think?
I thought you'd never ask. All right.
I would like to make a barred owl call.
All right, well, you know what we always start with, Jane? The owl face. Can you guys make an owl face? Get those big eyes going.
Get your head locked in. Make your body move,
All
your
right.
head stays.
Now, barred owls that we heard at the top of the show, they have that hoot sound. And what's great about most owls is they have clear, low notes that are easy for us as humans with our inferior larynx to be able to mimic, okay? So the other thing that we do is we put words to the patterns that we hear in bird vocalizations. So barred owl, Jane, do you remember this one? Barred owl says,
Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?
do you guys hear that in the woods like all the time? No, but that's the way that we as humans can start to interpret what we're hearing. Now we just got to make it hooty, right?
Well, I got my owl face.
So owl face, and now we're gonna go, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?
Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?
Okay, very, very good, but I'm gonna tell you something.
What?
If you go out in the woods and you do that,
Alistair's not going to call back to
Alistair is
us?
gonna be like, no. All right, so now I want you to channel your inner owl, and you're gonna get your owl face on. I'm gonna call to you, and you are gonna call back, and we're just gonna go into hoots, okay? So dig deep for this.
Get
You
ready. If you have never heard Bridget do a barred owl, boy.
Oh, now you just set me up. Okay. Oh!
I heard some. I heard some responding.
And then sometimes they go. Now drop low and go. What's wonderful about barred owls is they're really super social. So if you do find that you have a barred owl somewhere where you live, or like the campground that I was visiting last summer, you might be able to call to them and hear them call back to you.
Well done, everybody. I heard some really good owls.
Really good.
Do you want to do it one more time? Okay, ready? Bridget's
All right.
going to do it, and
Who
then
cooks
we'll
for
call
you?
back.
Who cooks for you all?
Oh. And what about a baby? Can we call like a baby?
Oh my gosh. So the babies are really kind of scary when they call. And what do you think the babies are calling for? Mommy. Food, feed me. Do you guys get home from school and you're like, cheese stick, bananas, give me it all, right? So that's kind of what owls sound like, but it's a little more intense. It's kind of like this. Snap! Snap! Can you guys do that?
Snack!
Snack!
Well done, everybody.
Very good.
All right, let's learn about another owl. And we actually have another owl with us. Now we're going to learn about a screech owl. Do you think a screech owl screeches? We're going to find out in a minute.
Too soon.
But first, we're going to meet the screech owl. Michael is bringing out Soren.
Right.
That's a lot of oohing and awing for a creature that would rip you limb from limb if it could. So, Michael, tell us about Soren. Soren is not a baby.
No, Soren is a full-grown eastern screech owl. He's one of the littlest owls we have in the Northeast. And being a boy, he's even smaller. That's with most of our birds of prey, the boys are smaller than the girls. And he's a little screech owl. So we're pretty sure that means he's a boy.
How did Soren end up at the museum?
So, you know, Soren has the exact same story Alistair has. Mm-hmm. He was flying across the road one day and he got hit by a car. And with him, it's really easy to see the injury to his eye. When I bring him around, you guys get a good look at that.
Can you tell us a little bit about screech owls while you're passing them around?
I can, yeah. So screech owls, as I said, are one of our smaller owls. They're probably the best camouflage, though. I mean, look at this guy. He's bark colored, isn't he? Mm. And little owls have a real problem with big owls. That's actually the scariest thing for any owl. It's a bigger owl. So what we see with screech owls is a lot of them have figured out big owls don't like to live in town. So if you live in a town in the eastern US, especially if it's a town with some trees and some parks in it, there's a pretty good chance you have a screech owl living near you.
What if you live in a city like, say, Boston?
Well, I don't know. Are there any places with trees in Boston? Are there any parks in Boston?
There we go.
Maybe something along the river would be nice, right? A little riverfront property. Yeah, that's great for a screech owl because you're not as likely to have those big owls hanging around listening for your calls. Yeah, because they might not be talking to big owls,
So
but the big
Soren
owls
and
can
Alistair
hear
wouldn't be
them. Yeah.
friends.
Sure, I'm bringing her up.
Bridget, can you teach us how to make a screech owl call, and maybe we can talk to Soren?
I know. Let's see if Soren will call back to us. So this one, you need owl face again. And this time we're just going to take a hoot and we're going to start kind of up high and we're going to fall down. Okay? So, and make it a little wiggly.
You kind of wiggle your body too. That's not a screech.
No.
So screech owls don't screech?
They do have a number of different vocalizations. I think the screech is a little harder to do. So we'll stick with the one that's easy, which is what we call the whinny. So how many of you have heard a horse kind of make that similar sound, right? It's something good for us to compare it to. So let's try it again, and we'll go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Wow, that was Jane. Jane.
I'm in owl mode.
You are channeling the little screech.
Let's see how we did. We have the sound of a
sorry,
real
buddy.
screech owl, because Soren probably won't call to us.
Oh, not bad. Ooh. And this is something really cool. You guys are mimicking, you're listening, and then you're fine-tuning your vocalization to what you're hearing. Nice work.
So if you're ever out on the riverside and you think you're hearing a horse, you might be hearing an owl.
That's such a good point, Jane. Like, not all owls hoot. They have a variety of different vocalizations.
Yeah. Michael, are
Definitely
there
check it out, though. I mean, a horse in a tree would be just as good.
a horse in a tree would be pretty amazing. What other owls might people in New England be able to see? We've got right now, especially, some extra owls that could be in town.
Yeah, sometimes I have trouble remembering things, so I come up, maybe you guys do this too. Like for owls, I remember 7-Eleven.
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 Not the store?
Not
we
the
have
convenience
not the store,
Oh,
but that's
okay.
why I remember it. In this summertime, we have 7 who nest here, and in the winter we have 11. Because there's 4 different kinds of owls that come down out of the north into New England. Not every year, but a lot of times. You guys probably know the most famous one. Snowy,
yeah.
nice, I thought. Then there's another big one. It's a great owl. Yeah, great gray. I'm just going to keep going with this.
Yeah, do
Let's
it.
see. In the wintertime, yeah. Actually, snowy owls, a great place to see them in the wintertime are airports. Yeah, Logan has them. I don't know if they do this year, but most years. So we had snowy owl, great gray owl. We have a little guy called a boreal owl, who's just a little bit bigger than this screech owl. And then there's a daytime owl, the hawk owl. We also have here sometimes in the winter. It's more up north, but. And then the 7 that nest here, we've met 2 already, the barred owl and the screech owl. We have the giant version of the screech owl, the great horned owl. Can you do that call, Bridget? You know that one? Sounds like a big owl, doesn't it? And we have the, we also have the, he's like, what? Great horned owl.
He's like, no.
We
sorry,
also
sorry.
have the long-eared and the short-eared owl, the barn owl, not barred, barn. Guess where they like to live?
Barns?
Nailed it. And boy, there's one more. What's the other one? It's littler than this. Ooh. Yeah, the saw-whet, our littlest owl. And that's, honestly, I think the saw-whet owl should be called the cutest owl. A big saw-whet owl is the size of this little screech owl.
Michael, that saw-whet owl was a museum owl too, right?
Yeah, that's Diana, our old saw-whet owl. Yeah.
So Bridget, can you teach us how to call like a saw-whet owl?
Yes. Okay, so I've got another reference point for you that comes from our human experience. What does a truck sound like when it backs up?
Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, now make the owl face.
And we got to go a little higher.
We're gonna go higher. You just gotta make it a little hooty. That's a good beat too. Nice job.
I like it. All right, let's see how we did. Here's
make a
what a
comparison.
real saw-whet owl sounds like. Oh, now we're really doing it. Get down, Bridget.
Oh my gosh.
I think that you guys are really good saw-whet owls. All right, so we've been talking a lot about owls, but there are more than 10,000 different kinds of birds out there. And there are only 5,000 different kinds of mammals. We're mammals. So there is such a diversity of species, shapes, colors, sounds, sizes in the bird world. Birds are incredible. So let's talk more about
All right, we're gonna shift
birds
into
generally.
birds in general.
And get ready, you're gonna have some quizzes coming up. Here's the first question.
Hello, Alto. I'm 6, and my question is, how fast can the fastest bird go in the air, and what is it?
Wait, hold. Hands up first. You guys are just dying for this one. How many know the answer to this one? Okay, you ready? On the count of 3, you're gonna answer it. 1, 2, 3.
All right, Bridget, we're done here.
Awesome.
They know everything about
I
birds.
know, that's it. You're not gonna have a
Thanks
show
very
anymore.
much.
There
See
we
you
go.
later.
We're out. So peregrine falcon, right, in that dive, right, when they are pursuing prey, they can go. You guys are so good. 240 miles per hour. Is anybody going to be driving that fast on the way home tonight? No. All right.
Okay, but Bridget, wait. They all knew.
They know this one.
The fastest bird, but do they know the second fastest bird? Don't say it. The second fastest bird.
Fastest bird.
Who thinks they know? Raise your hands.
Oh, wow. All right. This one, it would be in a dive too.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Did you hear it?
I heard
think
it,
I
but I
heard
heard some
one.
other things too. Why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so this is pigeon. So pigeons, right outside the door here, they are fast.
Why would a pigeon need to be fast? All they're doing is eating crumbs on the ground.
Well, who likes to live in the city too? Oh. Peregrine falcon. So if you need to evade a peregrine falcon, right, as they dive bomb you in the city, you need to be able to go up to 93 miles per hour.
Nobody should be driving that
No one
fast
drive that
tonight
fast either.
Pigeons get no respect.
I know.
I mean, look at this is the second fastest bird in the world, and we're out there calling them flying rats.
We should all be out there going, I'm not worthy.
And look at how beautiful they are, and how well adapted they are to so many different environments.
So cool. All right.
Give some love to the pigeon. Okay, so those are fast birds. What about another fast bird?
Okay, I got another fast bird for you, but it's not in flight.
Oh.
Da-na-na-na.
Did I just hear
Still
a
a bird.
cheetah?
Almost, well, I bet the cheetah could still run faster than this bird, but get this, you can drive home if you're on the highway, and if you get up to 60 miles per hour, I want you to pretend that you look out the window and there is a bird, running right next to your car. That's ostrich.
How fast?
60 miles per hour. So that one you can test out and see what that might feel like.
So if you're going home on the train or the car, look out the window and imagine an ostrich running as fast as you're going. Wow, that's impressive. All right, ready for another question?
Yep.
Okay, here you go.
Hello, my name is Simon and I come from Washington, D.C. and I'm 7 years old. And my question is, why do birds have wings?
Why do they have wings, Bridget?
Okay, so I know. Yes. Who likes dinosaurs? Ah, awesome, right? Michael was talking earlier about how birds are related to dinosaurs. So I want you to imagine back when like the first creatures started to crawl out of the ocean onto the land. Why did they do that?
Because they wanted to see
Because
what
they
it
wanted
looked like?
snacks.
Oh,
And there was too many people fighting for snacks. So they had to get more space. We call that an ecological niche, right? So we crawl up on the land. Now we're all on the land and we're eating all the snacks, right? Now what happens? There's still a little bit of competition, right? So you start to change and evolve and you develop what? Wings, right? So one of the first dinosaurs that had hollow bones and wings is a pterosaur. Did I say that right, you guys? Pterosaur, okay?
with a P.
With a
silent
P. Pterosaur. There we go. Right, and we know pterodactyl, right? Right?
Pteranodon.
A pteranodon. You guys could probably name out a whole bunch. But that was the first dinosaur that had hollow bones that allowed them to be able to get that lift and come up off the ground.
Let's do some flying ourselves. I think everybody kind of needs a wiggle break. So you can stand if you're able, or you can sit where you are. You can just make sure that you're not going to smack into your neighbors.
Be aware of your wingspan.
guys some room.
Especially your siblings. This is not a chance to smack your siblings. We're going to do some flying and way different kinds
you guys
of
wanna
birds
get up? I
fly.
wanna get
So
up.
Bridget, why don't you teach us first soaring? Let's do soaring.
All right, so soaring first. We've got a vulture here that's soaring, right? We're gonna have big, wide, broad wings, and we're gonna get those nice and stretched out.
Get
We're gonna
those
take a nice
feathers
beat,
at the end.
and we're just gonna soar.
And then just do this.
If you're a turkey vulture
coasting.
that lives in the Northeast, one of the, oh, Jane, look out, we're gonna crash into each other. If we are turkey vultures in the Northeast, we have a little bit of a V shape to our wings. So
What's
just
a
tip
V?
your wings
What's
up
a V vulture?
just a little bit. I call them tippy turkey vultures. Flying TVs, get it? TV turkey vulture, okay? So if you see somebody that has big, huge wings, almost like an eagle, and is holding them in that V shape, that's turkey vulture.
That's not
That's
turkey
not
vulture.
turkey vulture.
All right, okay, so we've got soaring. That one was pretty easy.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a really tough one now.
Oh, no.
Hummingbird.
Oh, okay.
Think you can be a
Oh my gosh,
hummingbird?
look at.
Okay, but wait just a second. Wait just a second. How many times per second
Okay.
does a hummingbird flap its wings?
You guys gonna shout out the number? Okay, lower. So it's 53 beats in 1 second.
No problem.
All right.
We can do that.
Are you ready?
Okay, so Bridget's going to count to 1, and we're going to flap 53 times.
Get your hummingbird wings ready. You got a
Ready?
hummingbird face too? And 1.
Okay, wait, no, I wasn't ready. Can we do it again?
Okay, one more time.
Okay, count me down.
All right,
count
are
me
you ready?
down.
And 3, 2, 1. How many did you get, Jane?
3,
3, maybe. Right?
1. Who got 53? Wow, we got a lot of hummingbirds here.
So hummingbirds are designed in this way, and now I'm going to make it even more complex because they aren't just doing this. They're doing this. It's
Yeah.
a figure 8, right?
So you can see that right on screen, right?
Yeah,
All
that's
right, that's
really
impressive.
impossible.
Okay, but here's one that's confusing. What about a bird that doesn't fly like a penguin?
Oh. Where are penguins flying, y'all? In the water, right? So that's where their wings come into play. So it's flight underwater. So they're actually using them like little oars underwater, Jane.
So should we do a penguin? How do we do a penguin?
Let's do a penguin. Oh my gosh, I would love to have like that shooting body to just be like,
Or you can do the
right?
penguin walk.
And then the wings become for balance, right?
Okay, so I've got one more for you though, Bridget. This bird doesn't have wings.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's called an ostrich. We just talked about it. It runs. It doesn't fly.
Jane.
It doesn't have wings.
Jane, ostriches have wings.
They don't fly.
No, but how fast were they running?
63 miles an hour.
And if you need to make a quick turn, you throw that wing out,
I
right?
heard somebody say balance.
There we go. So we're going back to the balance thing, right?
So they
if you
do
want to
have
do a
wings.
right turn, which wing do you throw out? Left. Yeah, it's just the opposite. And if you want to go to the left, you throw out the right. So right where that little white edge is here, that's their wing. And it's kind of to help them steer and turn.
Do you want to be an ostrich? All right, see if you can turn and use your wings for balance.
I'm going to start walking like...
Great flying, everybody, and great flying, Bridget. You're really an impressive flyer.
Thank you, Jane.
Do you want to see one more live bird? Michael, will you bring out Homer?
I sure will.
We're going to bring out not an owl this time. Maybe you'll be able to recognize what Homer is. Yeah, maybe you saw him out in the lobby.
Close. All right. So who already met Homer out in the lobby? What is she? Could you tell because of the reddish brown tail? Yeah. Reddish brown was too long for the bird book, so red-tailed hawk.
And we can see maybe why Homer is at the museum and why Homer can't be out in the wild.
Do you guys see that? Yeah, that wing that kind of goes up over the back, she doesn't fly at all because she was hit by a car just like those other birds, and her wing didn't heal right. So it would be like if I got hit by a car and my leg healed all sideways, which wouldn't be a big deal for me, right? Because I could still watch Netflix, I could still order pizza, do all the things that are essential to my life. But for her, she needs to be able to fly. She needs to be able to get out there and get off the ground so things like dogs aren't scary. And then dive back down to the ground to catch things like rabbits and mice and snakes and lizards and frogs and grasshoppers and first graders, occasional chicken. I wanted to see if you were paying attention. No.
Michael, do you have any advice for us about ways that we can protect some of the birds that you brought out today?
Yeah.
To make sure that they're not coming to the museum as much as we like to be able to see them?
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys have probably, all three of these birds got hit by cars, right? And when you go to other nature centers or zoos and you see native birds of prey, almost all of them are there because they're hurt, they can't survive in the wild, and almost all of them were hit by cars. And the big reason for that is we make the road look really attractive to these guys. Really, it's like the food court at Faneuil Hall. It's awesome, right? All the food is there. It's easy to get. For the hawk, that means the grass is mowed, so it's easy to get the little critters that are in by the side of the road. And whenever anybody throws any garbage out of the window, like I know you guys don't, but some people throw like apple cores and banana peels and leftover fries out the window, and the little mice and squirrels and those critters, they figure out, hey, free food down by the highway. So they all go down by the road to eat, and then the hawks figure out there's mice and other free food hanging out by the highway, so they all go there. And when they spot something across the road, they don't really pay a lot of attention to the traffic going by. Hawks are great moms, but they do not teach their kids to look both ways. So by not throwing stuff out of the car, by watching while we're driving, because most of the time when animals get hit by cars, they're hit by cars that are out of the flow of traffic. Yeah, someone driving a lot slower or a lot faster than everybody else. Those are usually the folks that end up hitting the wildlife.
Huh. So while Michael's walking around with Homer, Bridget, will you answer another question? We have 2 more questions to go. Don't get comfortable.
No, don't.
Okay, so here's another question that we have for you.
Hi, my name is Vivian. I'm 6 years old. I was born in Texas, and I live in Korea. Why are birds colorful? And bye-bye, Chucky.
Why are birds colorful, Bridget?
Why are birds colorful? Who's that? Peacock. Is that the male or the female peacock? Male. How did you know that?
Sorry. No, she
because
doesn't fly.
the males are really colorful. What are they? To attract the female, right? So he did that little shake and shimmy there, right? And those beautiful colors display to the female that he is healthy and vibrant and he can thrive, right? And that's the kind of partner that that female bird is interested in, is a healthy mate. One of the other reasons why birds are colorful is a way to communicate, in addition to mating communication, just where they are on the landscape. And then, just in the opposite way, right?
There's a scarlet
this is
tanager.
really a good one. So scarlet tanager is a good example of this. Birds that are really tend to be brightly colored tend to be up higher in different habitats, so up in the treetops and things like that, because they can fly away really easily and escape predators. Now, birds that spend a lot of time on the ground, what color do they tend to be? Brown. All right. So,
you can barely see this bird, right?
right? Look at this one. Jane, you took this picture,
This
right?
was a woodcock in my yard, and I took it with a telephoto lens, so I didn't get too close. But if I stood from here to the music stand, I could barely see it. It was that well camouflaged.
So they need to be camouflaged so they can stay out of the sight of predators. So here's a little thing. You know how Michael was talking about the 7-Eleven thing?
Yep.
This is the thing that I use. If you're
CVS.
brown, you're on the ground. If you let your colors fly, you're in the... There we go. Brown on the ground. If you let your colors fly, you're in the sky. Good job.
All right, one more question. Let's hear it.
It's Anna. I live in Surrey and I'm 3 years old. My question is, why do birds sing to other birds in dusk and in dawn?
Bridget loves that question.
I do love that question.
Why do birds sing at dusk
Dusk and dawn, right? So remember at the top of the show when Jane was talking about the owls calling and establishing their territory? It's that same thing, right? If you've done all this work to find a food source, set up your territory, find a mate, right? You want to be able to protect that place. So at dawn, you're gonna get up and you're gonna be like, I'm here, don't eat my food, where's my mate, right? They're just gonna sing and sing and sing. And then they're gonna chill out for the rest of the day because they're eating and they're hanging out with their family. Snacks
Everybody
again.
loves snacks.
We're back to snacks. And then at the end of the day, what do you wanna do? You want to sleep, but you also want to make sure your territory is still going to be there in the morning. So you're like, don't mess around. This is my territory. I might be going to sleep, but I'm coming back. So dawn and dusk is all about kind of establishing their place in their habitat with all of the other birds around them.
So right now, we have some birds who stick around for the winter.
Yep.
And a lot of birds that are going to start coming back. In fact, in just a couple weeks, we're going to start seeing some of our returning birds.
Yeah.
They're already on the move.
And some of the birds that stay through the winter are already starting their springtime songs. Maybe you've noticed this. already.
Maybe we could be a dawn chorus before we leave today.
You guys want to try that together?
Could
Okay.
you? I think we need to know how to do some bird calls
Okay,
though first.
so let's pick a couple. Let's do, oh good, all right, let's do robin. I heard somebody say robin.
Let's do chickadee first.
You want
and
to do
then
chickadee
robin.
first? Okay. Chickadee.
Because chickadee is so fun.
You guys already know chickadee-dee-dee. Can I teach you the other one? For when you want to find a mate? This is really appropriate because yesterday was Valentine's Day. So you're going to go, hey, sweetie. Hey, sweetie.
Hey,
and then-
sweetie.
Hey, sweetie. Awesome.
But what
There we
about
go.
when they want to let you know that there's something in the neighborhood that you need to be alarmed about?
Oh, right. So you drop the chick and you go right to the D's.
Okay.
And you hit the D's hard and you go dee 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 dee
Dee dee dee dee dee dee.
dee 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 dee
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
dee 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 dee.
Hit the D's hard.
Hit the D's hard.
Okay, let's do robin.
Okay, robin, I heard from over here, is like nice and fluty, maybe not so nice at 4 a.m., but maybe we can learn to appreciate that call. Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio.
Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio.
So it's just nice. You can even whistle it, right? I hear you have a whistling episode.
Yeah.
So that might help with this too.
Yes,
for
yeah.
sure.
How about one of the early arrivals who I always look for, a red-winged blackbird?
Do you want to do that one, Jane?
Conklary!
Oh my gosh.
See, I mean, my throat is
Your
helping.
sore throat really adds to the blackbird
Conklary!
quality of that.
They are so obnoxious, but I love them so much.
All right, I'm going to give you another one that's a hook for this that I learned from a little boy, that when I said, this bird says conklary, when he was on a school trip with me, he's like, miss, they don't say conklary. And the teacher's like, shh, stop. And I was like, no, it's okay. He's like, that bird says Burger King. And so the point there is that whatever you hear and clicks and works for you is the thing that's going to help you remember that bird and connect with that bird.
You're never going to forget Burger King now, are you? Can we do nuthatch?
Oh, can we do nuthatch? Okay, everybody take your hand like this. Make little pincher fingers like this. And then I want you to put it on your nose like this.
Okay.
And then you're gonna go, nink, nink, nink,
Nut, nut, nut.
nink, nink, nink.
That's it for nuthatch. That's an easy one.
Can I teach one?
Yes,
So
please.
sometimes I'm in the woods, and all of a sudden, somebody starts up a motorcycle.
What? In
Yeah,
the woods?
I'm in the middle of the woods, like miles from any roads, and they're just these motorcycles. It sounds like this. Not a woodpecker, but also not a motorcycle. You were right about that.
Is it brown and on the ground?
Brown and on the
Brown
ground.
On the ground. I gotta guess. Okay, I'm gonna give you a clue. The male of this bird jumps up on a log. Jane's gonna demonstrate. And then the sound that we're actually hearing is the vacuum sound, the lack of air in between the feathers. And that's its mating display and sound for its mate.
Can I tell them?
Oh my gosh, you're dying.
It's a ruffed grouse.
ruffed grouse.
We don't have it up there,
Don't have
but.
them up there.
All right, so, and you probably know some other bird calls too, right? Do you have birds in your neighborhoods? Seagulls is a great one.
Good.
Seagulls don't even need a dawn chorus. All right.
Do we want to
Wait a
conduct
second.
everybody
Wait a sec. Yeah.
in a dawn chorus?
Yes. You're going to tell us when to start,
Yes.
and you're going to tell us when to stop.
Yeah. So I want you to pick a bird. Chickadee, robin, red-winged blackbird, nuthatch, or ruffed grouse.
Or whatever.
Just pick one. All right? And we're going to bring you in, and you're going to call, and then we're going to fade everybody out at the end of the dawn chorus. Does that sound good? Okay. Could I have the robins start?
Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio.
Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio. And you got to keep going. Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio. Okay, now, chickadee, let's do. Hey, sweetie. Hey, sweetie. Hey, sweetie. Good. Hey, sweetie. Now, if you're feeling kind of sassy, you might be the red-winged blackbird.
Burger King.
Burger King. Burger King. And then if you like the nuthatch. And finally, the ruffed grouse. There we go, Jane. All right, let's bring it up.
Cheerio,
And then we're gonna
cheery me,
cheerio. Cheerio, cheery me, cheerio. And we're gonna fade.
Conklary.
Conklary. You all deserve worms, caterpillars, and seeds for that beautiful, beautiful dawn chorus. Nice job.
That was so wonderful. I felt like I was in a forest at dawn. I want to thank all of you for coming today. I especially want us to, before we leave, to give a round of applause to Michael Clough and Bridget Butler for teaching us about birds. You can keep in touch with them. Their information is here, and Michael and Bridget are both going to be out at the table with us. Thanks to Sarah, who you haven't met yet as well. Sarah's our new producer on But Why. She ran the show for us.
Watch yourself.
And you're going to be hearing her name. You may have seen her on our social media accounts. Thanks to WBUR for hosting us and doing all of this work to make this show possible today. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed to But Why, subscribe. You can get on our newsletter. You can see our merch. You can get a sticker, and you can talk to us in just a minute. Thank you so much for being here. And you know what we say. Stay curious.
Stay curious.